Greetings, friends. It was so exciting to see so many dear friends who have who are joining us with this. So thank you for making time. We are just about ready, and hopefully we will be providing what is useful and helpful. And of course, we're going to try to make some time for questions as well. We are sorry to say that our family member Francis couldn't show up this time. So it is just Claudia and myself. And he started off planning with us, but it looks like they weren't able to join us for this meeting. Hello, greetings to all of you. We'll wait a couple more minutes and see if we have anyone else coming in. And Claudia, did you want to ask about having people have something downloaded?
Yeah, please. Thank you, Dorian. I sent you an email, and maybe you need to make some registration to use the Miro board. Please review your email and please try to set up some things to access to the Miro.
And if it doesn't work out, don't worry. You will see how to use it. Claudia has all these amazing things that she has been doing in interacting with her students during the pandemic. And I told her I'm just absolutely in awe at the different interactive virtual tools that she has been using. All righty. And thank those of you who had a chance to look at the Padlet for the mosquito habitat mapper and put some answers on there. Thank you so much. Erki, it is good to see you. You're going to see a picture or two of yourself when we get into my presentation. And hello, Marta, Maria. Maybe we should go ahead, Claudia, and get started. And that way we will ensure that we have time for questions afterward. And I think we just want to, there you go, perfect. Good. Well, greetings. We are just honored that you chose to spend an hour with us today. As you have heard, if you have attended any of these other protocol trainings, we will not be training you completely in these protocols today. What we plan to do, what our hope is to do, is to share content, ideas, best practices, and some engaging learning activities and resources that are about the mosquito habitat mapper protocol, as well as the surface temperature protocol. And next slide. And I put this together. This generally is an interactive map, but it's not switching here. But what it does is it shows that really important relationship between temperature and mosquito habitat. So with this, it will go through and it will, when it's an interactive one, it will go through each month of the year. And where you see the color, that's showing us where it is warm enough for mosquitoes to be active. And next slide. So there's definitely a relationship between these two. I'll let Claudia introduce herself.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Claudia Caro. I'm from Peru. This is my flag, and I'm happy to be with you this day. And please try to enjoy this session and try to ask as many questions as you can. Thank you so much.
And I'm Dorian Janney, and I'm from the United States of America. I live in Maryland, which is way over on the East Coast. And right now I am just in the heart of mosquito country. I'm right down on the Chesapeake Bay for this meeting, which not only has the bay, which has some potential mosquito breeding habitats, but there's a swamp on the other side. So when it gets to be evening and I go outside, I am just about eaten alive by mosquitoes, and I have tons of mosquito bites to prove it. I think they know that I actively try to reduce their number. Next slide, please. So let's see. Oh, you know what? I'd updated them, but that's okay. It's all good. Let me go ahead and share. Actually, no, never mind. Cancel that. People did go ahead, and you can go to the next slide, and they entered things into the Padlet. I asked a lot of questions. I asked which country were people located in, because we're going to start with Mosquito Habitat Mapper, and then we're going to segue, and I'll do Mosquito Habitat Mapper to surface temperature, and Claudia will take over there. So on the Padlet, I found out people were from all over. We've got Buenos Aires, Fairbanks, Alaska, Taiwan, Croatia, Slovakia, South Africa. So lots of different countries here. I know Colombia. If I didn't mention your country, there we are, Dominican Republic. Feel free to put it into the chat window. The kinds of mosquito transmitted diseases that people have in their areas. Here where I live, we now have Eastern equine encephalitis, and we have West Nile virus. Other people mentioned that dengue from Aedes aegypti is their principal mosquito transmitted disease. Another person told me dengue as well. Someone else mentioned malaria. And then some others have mentioned West Nile and Osutu virus. And those are both from the Aedes mosquito. It looks like most of you have had experience using the Mosquito Habitat Mapper protocol. Most of you, when I asked what challenges you have, mentioned mosquito larva identification. So I'm going to talk about that and show you some resources. I also have sitting here next to me a bunch of different types of lenses, and I'm going to tell you which one I've had the most success with. But I'm also going to ask, because I know IRCWI especially does a lot of mosquito larva identification. And so we'll certainly be able to share some of these. My problem is I don't have the link. I put into the slide the link, and I'd also put in a QR code, but we didn't grab the most recent version of these slides. I will, though, when Claudia is presenting, I'll go and I'll find that link and I'll stick it in there. So what I'm doing is I'm working with two different laptops here. So I'm looking at using a different computer, looking at that link, but I'll send it to myself so I have it on this one. Thank you for asking. Excellent. So these are the things I want to do with Mosquito Habitat Mapper. And in 25 minutes, I want to tell you why and how NASA is involved and kind of tell you how I got involved through NASA satellites. Then I'm going to show you where you can access the Mosquito Habitat Mapper bundle, show you where you can see last year's mosquito-focused IVSS reports, just to give you a feel for what those breadcrumbs are to get to those reports. Then I'm going to show you a rich array of different resources and campaigns, and finally invite you to join our Mosquito Photo Challenge, which begins on July 25th. Next slide, please. All right, so the Mosquito Habitat Mapper. There, as promised, is our wonderful Erky working with students. He has just done absolutely fabulous things with his students and the Mosquito Habitat Mapper, as have many of you. I certainly rely on him as being being one of our experts here. And so hopefully he will join in as we're talking about some best practices, particularly for trying to identify the mosquito larva. And as of, at least on my end, as of today, now when I open my my app, as promised by Dave, and probably it's not going to work because of this cutesy thing here, but now it has been updated. And I went ahead earlier today. I didn't have any larvae, but I went through the process using this updated app. And it is kind of cleaner. It is makes it a little easier to use in some respects. Not that it's hard. I don't find it hard. I do find that it can be challenging to identify the species of larva. And, you know, as so many things that are, oh, thank you, Martha. As so many things that are challenging, it just takes a lot of practice. The more you practice, the better you'll get at it. And good, feel free to continue to add information to that Padlet. It will remain and it will continue to inform me. And next slide, please. So NASA and mosquitoes. Well, as I'm sure you know, it's not that with our Earth observing satellites, we're able to actually, identify mosquitoes. We'll look at the next slide, please. But what we are able to do is we're able to monitor some of the environmental parameters which are important for mosquitoes. So I'm going to take a minute or two here and I'm going to talk about the mosquito life cycle, because that's important in understanding how the mosquito bundle works and the ways in which NASA environmental data is helpful for us to know about mosquitoes. So we start off with the adult female mosquito. Let me see if there's a way to put her up here. Of course, this is just a large model of one. But when you are bit by a mosquito, it is always the female mosquito. And she bites you not for food, but she bites warm-blooded mammals in order to get their blood, because she needs their blood to fertilize the eggs that she has. So when you're being bit by a female, and she's just a good mommy trying to fertilize these eggs that she has. And it's not so much to fertilize them really, it's to provide them with a blood meal, which will make them viable once they hatch. So she has those eggs, and let's say she comes over and she sees somebody put a piece of trash on the ground. And even if there's no water in it, she may lay her eggs in there, and then she's going to be kind of tired because that's hard work. Any of us who have given birth know how that goes. So she's going to come over and try to find some vegetation or a wall or something to just kind of sit there for a little bit and rest. Okay, so we have these eggs. These eggs can lie dormant for 6 months. Some suggest perhaps even longer, perhaps even a year or two. They can lie and wait for the temperature conditions to be right. They need about 60 degrees for 10 days in a row for it to be warm enough for the eggs to hatch. And then, of course, they need to have some source of fresh water. So often that water is precipitation. So we're looking at temperature and precipitation and vegetation so far being important environmental parameters to help us better understand where and when we can anticipate outbreaks of mosquitoes and mosquito-transmitted disease. So these eggs can lie dormant for a long time, but once they have precipitation and the weather characteristics are fine, then fairly shortly what hatches is the first phase. So the first phase is really very, very small, but you will notice them when you're looking in water sources because they're very wiggly. And basically, they are these little wiggly things. They like to try to come up to the top of the water. They use this thing called, excuse me, a siphon to breathe. When they're larvae, they cannot hurt you. That's why we look at larvae with the GLOBE program. They cannot bite you. They cannot hurt you. They cannot transmit the disease. The way the female transmits the disease is when she bites you, she inserts an anticoagulant into your vein, and that's where the disease can be transmitted. So we have the larva. The larva will stay in larval form for about a week to 10 days, and they shed their kind of their body, and they get larger. They go through 4 of those called instars. So they go through 4 instars, takes about a week to 10 days, depending on how warm it is. And then they turn into these cute little pupa. I just think they're the cutest little thing. So they're these pupa just for a day or two, and they do lots of somersaults when you watch them in the water. That's kind of how you can tell you've got your wigglers, which are your larvae, and your pupa, which do lots of somersaults and have big eyes. And then these hatch, and you have your mosquitoes, which now are going to fly up and fly away. So these phases, they can go through that entire life phase in a week to 10 days, which is why we recommend, if you have water sources, water for animals outside, horse troughs, maybe you've got, something that you can't really empty or you want to keep the water in, certainly drinking water in countries where you're relying on your rain and you have your rain barrels, but just check them once a week when the temperature is warm enough to have mosquitoes, so that you try to ensure that you're not inadvertently hatching mosquitoes near where people are. We are not trying to get rid of all mosquitoes in the world. We are simply teaching people how to monitor places close to where people are for mosquitoes, and then to empty those potential mosquito breeding habitats so that we're not inadvertently bringing them closer to where people are. There are 3,500 species of mosquitoes, and only about 100 of those transmit disease. Next slide, please. So these are the 5 parameters that we generally talk about when we're talking about how to monitor places for outbreaks of mosquito disease. We're going to be looking at surface temperature. That's probably the most important. Then the precipitation, so that we have that fresh water so that the eggs can hatch. Vegetation, so that the moms can go and hide and rest on it. Relative humidity has an impact on that, and so does soil moisture. And next slide. So when we're talking about NASA satellites, those are parameters that Earth observing satellites, European Space Agency has satellites as well, so do many other countries. Certainly the satellite I support, Global Precipitation Measurement Mission, is an international constellation. So basically these satellites are going around Earth, and as they go around, they're able to gather data on those 5 parameters. So those parameters can be layered, and then the people looking at the data also have to know what the lag time is. For example, with temperature, when the temperature gets warm enough for there to start to be mosquitoes, it's usually going to be about a month to a month and a half before people start showing up in your public health outposts, hospitals and such, having symptoms of mosquito transmitted disease. So they kind of know that there's that much time they can prepare. Precipitation is about a month to 3 weeks that data is useful. So they take that data, they know how to layer it. And should you be interested, if you click on that link at the top, or maybe on the picture, I'm going to show you a website that I helped to pull together. Might be on the, there you go, perfect. And maybe not. If not, no worries, that's fine. It will be available to you in a story map link that I'm going to be sharing that has all of this information in one link that you can go to. The Disease Initiative site is nice. It is older. We had the Disease Initiative in 2018, but if you or your students are interested in doing an online course that walks them through which NASA data they would use and how they layer it, we have a beginner course and an advanced course that are all recorded that are on that website, as well as some other information as well for someone who wants to do a deeper dive into how our satellite data used to prevent and respond to mosquito transmitted and other vector transmitted disease. And next slide. All right, the mosquito bundle. So we should be able to click somewhere on here and go to the website where that is. And I want to show you, if you also were to go to just the Globe website and in the search bar, put in mosquito bundle, it's going to take you to this. And hopefully it's going to take you to this. Ah, beautiful. So what's nice about this is this will go through and explain why you could utilize these different protocols, how they fit into the science, and down a little bit more. Oops. But then when you kind of go down on this page a little more, it lists the different protocols that you would use to, that students could use to be able to better understand mosquito transmitted disease. So those are some examples of those. And if we look at we can go ahead and look at the next slide. I just wanted to show you where those are. Thank you.
I desperately need help.
Okay, you got it. Sounds good. You bet. Yep.
Come over.
You bet. No worries. All right. So then if we can click on the end, there you are again. Thank you for being my model, Archie. Appreciate it. If you can click on the IVSS reports, let's see if we can if that'll take us over there. Here I wanted to show you, because for me, it helps me to see what other people have done to be able to take these IVSS reports and utilize these bundles or utilize these, the mosquito habitat mapper. How did they answer questions and what did they find? So in here, what I'd like you to do is go down a little bit. Sorry, we practiced all kinds of things, but we hadn't practiced how we were going to do this part. I want you to go to the top and then go to community, because here I wanted to give you the breadcrumbs to use to be able to get to these reports. So up a little higher, or maybe it's lower on your end. I think it's higher. Up at the top, see community. Actually, no, I'm sorry, go to news and events. That's where they hide it. So under news and events, then you go to meeting and symposia, and then you go to virtual science symposia. Excellent. Okay, then you come in there and then click on the go 2020, because we want to look at the reports from last year. And of course, you can do this for any of the years, but I'm just going to show you how you would do this and filter them. And then go down a little bit and a little more. And we should end up having something that says see reports. And then it allows you to filter them. It's up near the top of this page. So you can filter them by the mosquito habitat mapper. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. Go to virtual science symposium reports. Yeah, a little, there you go. Yep. A few breadcrumbs here to follow. Now where it says open filters, that's where you can come over and for mosquito habitat mapper, it's in hydrosphere, which seems a little complicated, or not complicated, but yeah, there you go, mosquitoes. But it's because they need water. So, that's where they're found is in water. Of course, it could be in all kinds of different ones. So now this is going to come up and show us all of the different IVSS reports just from last year that utilized the mosquito protocol as a part of the work they were doing. Thank you very much, Claudia, for sticking with that. Again, if people have questions about this, just feel free to reach out to me what those breadcrumbs were, but it's and then thank you so much. Sometimes it helps to be there, but I thought if I start you from the back and then work you up, that might be helpful as well, because it can be a bit complicated. And as soon as you learn how to get there, they're going to change it, right? All right, next slide. So then I wanted to show you some different resources. It will start off at the Globe Observer site. I also understand that the Globe Observer site and the Globe site are eventually going to be kind of pulled together. But for right now, we'll take a look at the Globe Observer site, and all of these will be in the story map that I'll give you to access after this. And on this site, there are lots and lots of good resources. So here, what I wanted to do is, you see, you've got your overview. We don't need that right now. Although for those of you who haven't used this before, there's basically 4 steps, and it will go through that in the introductory video. The first step is just you see standing water. Let's see, I see this cup sitting outside and it has water in it. I can just take a picture of this cup and then I can be done. That could be the end of what I do. The next step is if I look and I see that there are larvae, then maybe I can take a syringe, or I can even take, I like to personally use a little pipette. I might even just take a bottle, but I'm going to take that water and I like to take it and put it into a Ziploc baggie. So I put it into a Ziploc baggie, and then usually I take it inside, because if I find larvae, then there's probably adult mosquito around, and I don't like being bit by mosquitoes. So I take it inside, and then I look and I try to count how many larvae I see, maybe how many pupa, see if I can count those, and I do the sampling. That's a step. Another step is the one that's really the hard one to do, and that is using your cell phone magnifier. Let's see if I can back this up. You take it and you put it onto your smartphone. This is a large one. It cost me about $20. But I prefer this one of all of, no, I don't. I'm sorry. This is the one that I prefer of all of them. I've tried a lot of different kinds. The one that I like is one that is actually sold as being a jeweler's. And I'll write this into the chat when Claudia is presenting. I prefer this one because the problem with the little one that only costs about $3, they're very, very nice, and they're easy to use, but if you get into trying to identify an Aedes mosquito, you need to get into more complicated parts of the body. And it's very hard with this little clip on here that only goes up to 60 times to accurately be able to identify your mosquito larva. So again, I tried this bigger one that's white. It cost me probably $25. It doesn't work very well. It won't stay in focus. This is one that I really like. And if any of you have one that you use that works pretty well to take pictures of your mosquito larva, feel free to put it in the chat. That, my friends, is the hardest part, finding the one that works for you, getting it to stay straight. But once you get that practice and do it, your anopheles are easy. They don't have a siphon, and we're only looking for 4 different kinds of mosquito when you get into the identification. We're looking for our anopheles, which are the ones that transmit malaria. We're looking for our culex, and the culex have a different shaped siphon. They're fairly easy to identify as well, and you don't have to go into counting hairs and looking at the saddle and trying to figure out the finer bits. When you get to your Aedes aegypti and Aedes anopheles, that's where it gets more challenging. But to use this app, you do not, use this tool, this protocol, you don't need to identify larvae. So use it all year round. Don't wait for active mosquito season. Get your students and yourself or your community in the habit of looking for standing water, taking pictures of it, and remembering that those will become potential mosquito breeding habitats during certain types of weather. All right, so now if we come into here, and we don't have to really click, well, actually, I will have you click on Resource Library. Lots and lots of resources here. It will walk you through those things I was telling you. If you want to go and do something with people and teach them how to use this, you've got some nice videos in there. What I wanted to show you is in the Resource Library, there are a couple of videos that they've just put in down a little bit. Let's see, right up there, go down, no, I'm sorry, down and above Habitat Mapper, it says, there you go, right there, perfect. So in the Resource Library, you're going to find, and unfortunately right now, most are in English, there may be a few that are in Spanish, how to build a mosquito larva trap, one that the mosquito eggs can go in, but the adults can't fly out. Then it also has some good videos on how to identify those mosquito larvae. We won't look at those now. I just wanted to show you where to find it. I believe in if you teach people how to fish, they'll know how to then go and to do that. Games, activities, lots and lots of really nice things. Thank you, Claudia. Then we can go back to the slides. And you're doing great. It's going to be my turn next. All right, so now Mission Mosquito. I work with Mission Mosquito. This is what's called a field campaign. So with Mission Mosquito, we want to take students, teachers, citizen scientists who say, wow, mosquitoes are crazy cool. I want to learn more about them, and I want to help to reduce the threat of mosquito transmitted disease. We're a community who come together and we meet once a month if you have time. We have webinars. You're going to find more resources there. So that's another one that, thank you, Claudia, and will also be in the story map. When you get a chance, jump in there and take a look at some of the different resources and things that we have there. Excellent. And back to our regular slide. And then there's another program we heard that now it has finished, the Zika Education and Prevention Program. Absolutely phenomenal program. And they also have a wealth of wonderful resources and case studies. So I also have that as a resource to take a look at. You will not run out of neat ways to share this information. It's more a matter of picking and choosing what works best for you. And back to the main slide. And so this is the one thing I wanted to tell you about that's coming up starting, I guess it's next week. How can we already almost be to July 25th? For 1 month, we're trying to get as many people as possible to use these magnifiers, whichever magnifier you have or seems to work best for you. And we're asking you to find potential mosquito habitats, to find pictures of mosquito larvae, but also to do a land cover observation. And for that, all you need to do is just take pictures in 4 directions and up and down. You do not have to classify, characterize the land cover. We're just trying to see where we're finding larvae and what the ground, the land cover looked like around it. And we want as many pictures of larvae as possible because these are going to be shared with 4 different research scientist groups who want to create AI so that instead of us having to go through here and look at the spindle and look at the saddle and look at the hairs and all that, we could be able to just take the pictures and voila, like that, using this artificial intelligence, they can identify the type of mosquito larvae that you took a picture of. But they need thousands and thousands and thousands of pictures in order to be able to do that. So we do hope that if you have active mosquitoes where you are, that you'll get out there and collect some of these and just work on taking pictures. Even if you don't accurately identify the mosquito larva, no one cares, but your pictures are very helpful because the people who are the top science nerds when it comes to identifying mosquito larvae, I'm talking about you, Erky, they're going to be able to look at those pictures of the larva and they will be able to accurately identify them if you're able to take the pictures that they mention here. So please join us. And next slide. All right, I will stop now. It looks like I probably have about 5 minutes. I'll see if there's any questions focused on the mosquito habitat mapper. And then if not, we'll go to surface temperature and then we can take more questions after that if needed. But I will monitor for a minute here. And Claudia, thank you, thank you, thank you. Muchas gracias, well done.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dorian. So please, thank you so much. Hi, Maria Lorraine, Marta. I love to see nice faces now. Okay. Please, now I'm going to ask you to maximize your volume because I want to share with you a video about the surface temperature. I don't know why the video has a low sound. So please put your maximize your volume, or if you have some phones, you can use that. So it could be great for me. And at the end, we are going to work a little about this content. Okay, let's see. Okay, I think that is
Surface temperature is how hot or ice the surface would feel to the touch in a particular location. Let's see. Claudia has decided to go to the beach because the air temperature is more or less 30 degrees Celsius. When she touched the sand with her feet, it is really hot. Immediately, she decided to go to the vegetation to refresh her feet, but the grass feels cold. What would be the best solution for this little problem? Claudia is looking for the best location for her feeds. Now, she decided to spend the time on the sand but under an umbrella. This is the perfect temperature for her. Although the air temperature is the same, the surface temperature is different. Between the sand, under the sun, the grass, and the sand under a shadow. Why? This is because we are talking about the surface temperature and not about the air temperature. Surface temperature can be observed using the electromagnetic spectrum. Every object emits electromagnetic energy according to its temperature. Hot objects emit shorter wavelength energy, while cooler objects emit longer wavelength energy. Earth's surface is much cooler than sun and emits much longer wavelength energy. Most of its energy is emitted in the infrared spectrum, also called thermal infrared. The higher the temperature, the faster will be the movement of molecules. These moving molecules emit energy in the form of infrared radiation. The infrared thermometer is able to measure the emitted electromagnetic energy from Earth's surface. This instrument converts this measurement into a temperature reading. The amount of vegetation and moisture affects the surface temperature. Dry areas, as a desert or paved surface, do not present evaporation to cool the surface, and the temperature of these areas increases more during daylight. Scientists monitor land surface temperature, many times using satellites, because the warm rising of Earth's landscapes is influenced by our world weather and climate patterns. Commercial farmers may also use land surface temperature maps like these, for example, to evaluate water requirement for their crops. Additionally, measure the surface temperature could help us to understand the rate of heat and moisture exchange between the atmosphere and Earth. Also, it could be useful to understand the seasonal changes in the Earth's surface and help us to assist in the urban planning and to help to understand the urban heat island effect. The last but not least is useful because it helps us to verify surface temperature readings collected by NASA satellites. What do we need to measure the surface temperature? First, we need our eyes. Also, we need a GPS unit or maybe the Globe Observer app and an infrared thermometer. Data could be collected in any time, but it's better if we collect the data 1 hour around the local solar noon. But it's the best if we collect the data each time that a satellite overpass by our study site. Before to go to a good observation site, it is very important to take into account the infrared thermometer specifications. First, the accuracy. It is important to have an accuracy of plus less 2 degrees Celsius and a range between the less 32 degrees Celsius to the 72 degrees Celsius. Please also keep clean the lens of your instrument. It could help us to ensure that your measurements could be great. Before to gather data, you need to calibrate your infrared thermometer at least once per year. To do this, you need a bath, a water, ice, and a water thermometer. Please put the ice and water into the bath. Also, you need to put the water thermometer inside. After, point the infrared thermometer in perpendicular way to water surface about 5 centimeters away. Wait until the water reaches 0 degrees Celsius. Then verify if the infrared thermometer shows a similar reading. If this reading is between plus or less 2 degrees Celsius, it's okay. If not, try to change in the battery. If the calibration still is off, the infrared thermometer needs to be replaced. Also consider that the sensor of the infrared thermometer is very susceptible to large differences in air temperature, more than 5 degrees Celsius. To avoid this, use a thermal glove to protect your instrument. If you don't have thermal gloves, you can put your instrument outside at least 1 hour previously to gather data. To collect data, you need to choose an homogeneous area or the same type of land cover. For example, here, you can see two types of land cover. One without any kind of crop and another green with grass. Please don't mix these areas. Choose an homogeneous area and select a square of a 30 meters of side that is the measurement of a pixel in Landsat satellite. After, go to the center of the pixel and please collect data about latitude, altitude, and longitude. After, please collect data about surface temperature in the center of the pixel. To do this, look at this picture and repeat the same with your instrument in the field. Just you need to hold your arm at arm's length and point the instrument at the ground. After you pull the trigger, read the value including the tenths of the degree Celsius. Pick 9 random observation spots in the study site. Read and record the surface temperature for any point and record the time. Also, if you have snow, it's important to measure and record the snow depth. At the end, please calculate the average of the 9 observations. Please pay attention to the following pictures. It is very important to gather data of 9 points in the same type of land cover. No mix different types of land cover in the study site. Be careful with your feet. You need to point the infrared thermometer far away from your feet. Also, please avoid the shadows. Once you have registered data about surface temperature, please also register information about clouds and sky conditions. You can review the application of Globe Clouds in Globe Observer. At the end, please go to the Globe web page and report all your data. This is very important for all the Globe community. Thank you. Finally, it is very important go from the observation to the research question. Data need to confess something about them. How we can do that? First, we need some ingredients. These are curiosity, look for information, and take notes every time. It's very important to keep with you a field notebook. Next step is call our research question. What is his name? Oscar. Why is Oscar? Because a research question should be original, based in students, clear, answerable, and relevant for a determined context. Please keep a little moment to read the description of each one of these characteristics. Thank you so much for your attention. Now, let's go for more interactive training.
Okay, now let's go for a little of interaction. I'm going to ask you just to try to enter to this link. I don't know if you have used it before or previously, the Gather Town. It's very interesting app. I think that is very useful for your students and it's very useful for this time. I think that is easy. Just please create an account with your Google email, could be, and let's go to the Gather Town. When you go there, I'm going to ask you something. It's very important to form a group of 5 people. Try to go there. I'm so sorry. Dorian is there.
I'm in.
Great. You can create, 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 you can create. Sorry, I don't know what is happening, what is happening, what is happening, what is happening.
As I said before, I so admire trying these different tools out and learning these different tools. It is, what do you call it? The learning curve is not easy, but I know Claudia has gotten to the point, and I'm sure many of you have, where working with her students, she's able to just use these tools and get them to interact.
Yeah, please. Now it's very important to close the sound.
I figured out that I can't walk through.
Okay, thank you so much for joining our world, our virtual world. I don't know if you have worked before with this Gather Town tool. It's very interesting because it's very interactive. My students enjoy of that world a lot, but sometimes could be a little distracted because all the people is working around and recognizing some things. Maybe just to create some groups to explore the perfect way. Yeah, it's good. The perfect way to find a good study site could be useful also to find a good study site. I don't know. What do you think about this? Do you think that is a good tool for you, for your students? Yeah, the best is that it's free. You can access that in every moment. Yeah, it's a little fun. Also, we are trying to plan a little party at the end of the meeting of the all the globe meeting to find our friends there. Could be interesting also, and that is what I want to show you. Yeah, maybe we need to configure some things in the word, Marta, to try to play or try to use the microphone and the camera. And another good tool, maybe you have used the Miro before. So this is another tool, interactive tool that you can use. We have just a few minutes. I don't know if you can, let's say, what's possible for you enter to this Miro, but it's like the Padlet. Thank you, Kinyo. It's like a Padlet. You can use this. You can create your own murals. And it is interesting because you can have here a lot of groups working together at the same time. So my idea was that maybe today in the afternoon along the week, you can go here, enter here, and you can try to write a research question related to mosquitoes or maybe related to the surface temperature. You can put here also some pictures. You can move the pictures. For example, if you want a student, maybe we need to put, it's like a PowerPoint. You can put here some instruments that you need for your class. For example, what is your equipment, the equipment that you need. This is a very interesting tool and very useful for this time because your students can interact at the same time and you can manage here many groups working together, and you can have an overview of all the groups working here. So I know that we don't have enough time. Maybe questions could be great and for this time. And this is just a tool. I'm going to send you a link also of the video about surface temperature and maybe the presentation of today to your email so you can watch again that video. So thank you so much. I don't know, Dorian, if we have time for questions. Oh, where is Dorian? I don't know, like we only have 3 more minutes. Maybe you have some questions now. What do you think about the tool? And Thank you so much for staying today with us.
We can keep it running as long as you like.
Okay, I think that this is, if you don't have more questions, we finished our training of today. Please feel free to send us an email to send you the links or something like that, or some tutorials to use this tool. Thank you so much. Bye. It was awesome to see you, Marta and Maria Lorraine here. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much, Barbara, Maria Luis. Bye. Take care.
Gotta go.